Hello everyone, welcome to another game stuff video. Sorry, it has been a while. It's been a good 2 months since I last did one. There is a lot going on this week. In fact, there's a lot going on this month. We've just had the Summer Fest, which we saw some very good, very nice footage of the Elden Ring and a few other things, a few other announcements that are worth checking out. Plus, we'll have E3. We've got E3 going on this weekend, and there's some events from other companies who stopped taking part on E3 coming up. So this will be a good month for gaming news and that sort of thing. But since it has been a good couple months since I covered anything that's been happening in the industry, I had taken some notes, but didn't get around to do a video. Last few weeks have been rather hectic. But now hopefully I'll have some time at the weekends to go over maybe at least once a month try to see what's happening and just make a quick video for those that actually care to watch, and thank you very much to those. And don't forget to subscribe, or not if you don't like it, but if you do tend to come back to the channel, do subscribe, because it kind of helps you find the videos when I release, though they're mostly gameplay videos. Not really, I don't have the time to be chasing news, so it can't really turn into that type of channel, nor do I really want to. So as probably most of you know, I'm a big Sony fan. Well, used to be a big Sony fan actually, not anymore. But I still have a couple of PS3s, one for digital games, one for discs, and still on a PSVita, which I haven't touched, and I do like to keep in touch. And one of the things that really didn't sit well from Sony this year was when they announced that they were going to close the PSP Vita, PS3 and PSP stores, and they, as expected, they took some backlash, and then they went back on that decision, at least for now, and not closing the stores. They will still close the PlayStation P store, but the PlayStation Vita and PS3 stores will stay up, which is great for game preservation. Chances are they will close them at one point. I just hope that they will find a way where we can keep these games and not lose these games forever, especially games that are digital only media, because that will be really sad. And Sony has changed direction on that. Jim Ryan himself, statements that he said in recent years have aged quite poorly. When now he doesn't seem to care about game preservation, and I find that really poor and disgusting, to be honest. Games are a type of art, whether you agree with it or not, and that's my view on it, and they should be preserved. And both Sony and Nintendo kinda do a bad job at that. Xbox is actually decent at that, so good that Sony walked back. And they also will be closing, or they were closing, the PlayStation Vita, well, new releases on a PlayStation Vita. And believe it or not, there are still developers, indie developers, working on games for the PlayStation Vita. The studios, those indie studios, were not told of this closure, were not advised of the store closing, so they were obviously not happy. Sony, I believe, has partially walked that back. They gave developers until the summer to release their games on the platform, and then after that they will stop new releases completely. That's my understanding of it. So that's not too bad. Hopefully those developers that were working on those games can get the games released on time without rushing it and releasing a product in a quality that they did not desire themselves. So hopefully they have enough time to release the game as they wanted for everyone to experience. I love the PlayStation Vita. I've said it so many times that it was a great console that Sony clearly messed up with. They didn't give them the right support. Really annoys me. And there is a market for it, as we see with the Nintendos, but Sony just completely missed the mark. Created a very good product and then just screwed everything up after that. So yeah, there's some articles online if you want to read on it, but that's the gist of the decision. So I feel a bit safer with all my games that I haven't had a chance to play yet, and I've got them sitting on my hard drive, and that hopefully I'll get to play them. I'm sure I'll get to play some of them. I don't think I'll ever play all of them, but it's nice to have the option. And we'll move on to the next topic, which is we're going to stay with Sony. I'm going to try to keep this somewhat organized, I think. I don't know. So Sony has somewhat approved the Last of Us remake for a new gen for the PlayStation 5. Probably going to come out on PC as well, I suspect. Which is something that nobody was interested on. But instead of approving perhaps Days Gone, which is a game, Days Gone 2, which more fans were interested on, be kind of a new game, be a sequel, they approved this remake that literally nobody wants. The game was good on the PS3, it still looks good on the PS3. There was a PS4 version of it, which looks great, and it's pretty much up to current standards. I mean, unless you want the highest of everything, graphics and all that, the PS4 version is more than enough of an upgrade for that game. So why make a remake other than money or reasons I probably can't say on this video? Is beyond fans, to be entirely honest. But they've approved it. I won't be getting it. PS3 version was enough. I do actually own the PS4 version due to PlayStation Plus, but I don't believe I'll be replaying that game. I did get a Platinum on it originally, so I've done my few playthroughs of that game and absolutely loved it. Let's not get into the second one. Yeah, quite not gonna love that one. I think we kind of jumped there a little bit, so let's put this in order. So interesting thing that PlayStation has announced some sort of a partnership with Discord, and this news came out soon after Microsoft was reportedly trying to buy Discord, and apparently Discord turned them down, and literally a week or two after a partnership with PlayStation was announced, which is, I think, is an interesting move by Discord. I think Discord will benefit from this in the long run, because they still own their company and perhaps go public in a not too distant future and make more money than they will make on a single transaction to Microsoft. So we'll see what comes out of this partnership between Sony and Discord. Maybe we'll finally have a proper integration that Discord shows what games you're playing and things like that. Maybe pop-up trophies, I don't know, something, because at the moment we need to use a third-party program software to actually share on Discord what we're playing on PlayStation. I did have one for the PlayStation 3, sadly that stopped working, but it's the same, I believe the same guy that developed the one for the PlayStation 4, which I think is still working. So yeah, we'll see. Interesting news there. And moving on to Google Stadia, which is a platform that's living. We lost in recent months, we lost another big guy. I can't remember his position in the company. I probably should have noted this down at the time. But more and more staff have been leaving. We know they've closed their own studio, so the Stadia won't be getting their own games. They'll be releasing on all the parties' games, and perhaps sharing their technology, something like that. They're going to invest on their technology or something along those lines, which I find a very bizarre move. So I mean, I would say Stadia is done for, which is, it's not a shame really, because there's a lot of options out there that offer the same thing and you don't have to rebuy the games. Maybe the architecture and all that of the system was great, but it's not really working and clearly not delivering the quality that Google promised. I believe there will be some lawsuits started on that as well. The 4K gaming via connection, that kind, no. They definitely misadvertised, to say the least, on that. Other things that have been going on, Epic Games has revealed that they've lost a lot of money in the past few years with all those free games that they've been putting out, which is great for gamers, and for them as a company they're doing it as a long-term investment, and I think there'll be 2 or 3 more years before they can turn on some actual profit. We'll see about that. I do understand that investment, but it looks like they were trying to take on a market which is pretty much dominated by Steam on a to too aggressive way. They could probably do that slowly over time without wasting that much money. They obviously do have the money to spend. Just wondering if that's a sustained way of doing things. Especially as well, they've been doing this for the past couple of years or so. Microsoft has decided to take on both Steam and Epic by cutting what they charge developers and publishers to get their content on the Microsoft Store. So I believe the standard is 30%. I think even in mobile gaming. However, Microsoft is reducing it down to 12% from August 1st this year. I think that will be, like the Verge put it here, will be a big shake-up for the PC gaming side of the industry. So let's see what happens. Let's see if anybody else will try to undercut or at least reduce what they charge. Good times ahead for gamers, I think, with regards to that, because if we can get games for cheaper price, because if Microsoft is charging less to developers and publishers, then we'll hopefully get the games for a little bit cheaper. So consumer wins, and we can say that a lot these days in industry, that is for sure. Moving on to Ubisoft has announced, I think Ubisoft also has something going on this month, some sort of event, can't remember. But yes, they will be shifting into the free-to-play market kind of thing. So perhaps some Assassin's Creed, some Far Cry spin-off or whatever in a free-to-play market, which we know will be heavily monetized, because even their AAA games have been heavily monetized in recent times. I can only imagine what a free-to-play title from Ubisoft would look like. Not really interested in it, other than for the laughs and curiosity. So they've got big titles that will definitely attract a lot of players. Whether they have a good enough product and a good balance, like ideally avoid pay to win, but I doubt that will be the case. But if they can find a good balance, yes. But it is Ubisoft, and I've lost, just like in most of these companies, I've lost hope in them and faith on what they can do. I believe Ubisoft is having a game, I don't know if this is Rainbow Six Quarantine or something else, that will already be kind of into that market. So interesting times ahead for Ubisoft. They have been involved in other controversies recently. Not going to get into that, whatever happens in the companies. I mean, sometimes I do comment on it, but I didn't really pull an article up on that, because I don't really care what the media says and what all the employees that have left the company say, and even some that are still working there. So let's leave that. Some other controversies going on recently was Bungie. This was with regards to Destiny 2 transmogs, I believe, which is actually a system that I'm not familiar with, because I haven't really played those kind of games. But the players are pissed, the fans are pissed, and from what I've heard, rightly so. But it looks like Bungie doesn't seem to care much about it, so I'm a bit disappointed on that. I thought Bungie will be taking a better direction after that split with Activision, was it? Something like that. But apparently they're still not quite going in the right direction. And yeah, let's see if they change anything, but so far looks like they want to double down and go for it. I haven't played any of the Destiny games. I know a lot of my mates have, and even some of the people in my Discord have. I think some even still play it. Looks like a really fun game, but looks like this transmog system, feel free to read into it, but it's actually pretty bad when you see the breakdown. So moving on to the next article, which is some good news in between, and that's with regards to a Mass Effect game. So the Legendary Edition is out. Reviews seem to be amazing. Everyone seems to be happy with the revamped graphics. Yes, there was a little controversy about some small censorship. From what I've seen, it actually makes the scene look better. That's my opinion, though. I don't know how everybody else, and the opinions will vary from person to person. The game itself has seen a really nice upgrade, combat, especially on the first one, which was at its issues. But still a great game, though. But you can get all 3 games and pretty much all the DLC. I believe there was one DLC they could not retrieve, corrupted data or something along those lines. However, still, I mean, from what we've heard as well, the DLC was not like a big part of a side story or the main story or anything like that, so it's not big loss at all, and you get all the other DLC. So as you can see here on the Steam page, over 40 DLC available, and those 2 games, you know, a remastered game, you know, buy one get free. This is something that I'm very interested on because I've never played any Mass Effect games. So if I was to buy one, this will be it. This will be the perfect purchase. I will recommend it to anybody. Anyone who's not played Mass Effect and wants to play it, go for it. I believe it is on all consoles. Well, PS4 and Xbox One, I believe. And let me say Mass Effect Legend. I think it is. Will it be new gen as well? Yeah, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows. Doesn't look like it's got dedicated ports for or versions for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Sorry, PlayStation 5, which is fine. The game looks more than good enough. They don't have to go. You can still play via backwards compatibility. I'm 100% sure. So they don't have to do a Last of Us on that one. So yeah, Mass Effect fans don't want to go back and play the game with revamped graphics, some combat mechanics change, and other little changes to improve the game. Absolutely must buy. It's hard to recommend games from Electronic Arts, to be honest. But hey, this is fair play. This is worth the money. And moving on to not so good news. Amazon is really having a bad experience with video games. It's not just having the money and trying to enter a new market and make something that succeeds. You kind of have to have people that know what they're doing. Quite as simple as that. And they, not saying that they don't have the people, but there's clearly something going wrong there because they just seem to fail every time. The systems they're planning to implement on this game has gotten people really wondering, and a few rows on Twitter. Not that I care about Twitter comments that much, to be honest. But they're introducing really, how do I put it, systems that are very sketchy, to say the least, like booster packs, XP packs, and things to make you progress faster. Why would you need to do that if you're making a perfect balance, a perfect balanced game, or at least a well-balanced game where people are meant to explore the game, not make it too grindy, and just give players the impression that it's rewarding. If you're giving players the option to skip your content, something is wrong there. And there is a few other things that seem to be wrong with that game. I mean, Crucible is one of the other games that fell from Amazon Studios, and we also know this Crucible is actually a good story because it released, then went back to beta or alpha or whatever, and then got cancelled altogether. Something weird. A game that could have been far better. They actually had a good game mode there too. Okay, a video game needs a bit more than just one good mode, especially when in a MMO world. But there was something that they could work on, and no, it wasn't enough to salvage. And we know that they were working on a Lord of the Rings game, if memory serves me right. That is no longer happening. That doesn't seem to be entirely Amazon's fault. Obviously, we don't know the dealings in the background. What we do know is that something went wrong between Tencent and Amazon. The studio that was originally developing the game made a deal with Amazon, but that studio was then purchased by Tencent, and then Tencent and Amazon could not agree on a detail, so that's been cancelled as well. And this was kind of the last hope for Amazon in terms of currently developed games, or currently games in development, or whatever. Yeah, I can't speak English. It's fine. Can't speak Portuguese either. So this game is not looking good. So it looks like Amazon might have to go back to the drawing board and actually set their priorities right, or at least set something right when it comes to games. Like I said, they have the money. I don't feel sorry if Amazon throws a bunch of money at the game and it fails. Don't care, they have the money. But as a gamer, I would like to have a nice product from them. But apparently we're gonna have to keep on waiting. And for the last subject to cover on this short, slightly longer than should be video, Nintendo's latest controversy, should I say. They've had a few in recent months, including that Mario game they were taking off the store and all that. Anyway, whatever. Let's not get into that one. This is about a 10-year-old game, a Zelda game that Nintendo has re-released with an HD remake. And so the game, you pay full price for the game, which is in itself a bit of a stretch for a 10-year-old game. Just saying, even though it's an HD remake, it's still a remake of an original game, and I think the price is a big stretch to say the least. But they've added, some of the things that they've added to the game are quality of life features, like fast travel and things like that. And they decided to lock those features behind an amiibo, which I was not even familiar with. I've never been a big Nintendo guy over the years. I had the Game Boy well back in the day. It wasn't even mine, it was my mate's. But apparently amiibos are a thing. Cool, awesome. Something that I've learned while when this happened, and that's locked behind an extra $25. So you'd have to buy the game plus $25, getting you in the zone of like $80 or $85, something like that, if I remember correctly, to get the full game. That's a remake of something decade old. I don't know. I wouldn't spend money on that. I think that's a bad move for Nintendo. It did get them a few retweets, though, I suppose. So yeah, I think there's that. There's something else with regards to that game that I wanted to say. Oh yes, apparently there are other ways to get this amiibo type thing, like customizing or whatever. Like I said, I'm not into the amiibo system. That's a new thing to me. But there's something that you still have to faff about to get when buying a full price remake game. Is pretty poor from Nintendo, and they keep doing this to themselves. I guess some never learn, and that is what it is. So yeah, that will be all for today. I will try to keep an eye on what happens on E3, and if I see anything interesting, I will cover it. Probably not this week, or probably next week, but don't count on it, because these events, just announcements, trailers and things like that, even the odd gameplay, not really interested on. Probably the thing that I'm most interested on is the Xbox event, Xbox Bethesda event that's coming up this summer. Forgot the dates though. That is, I'm interested on that because I want to see the revamped, well, hopefully revamped Halo Infinite after that backlash from last year that graphics didn't look that great for a new gen, and I agree with that. So hopefully they've done some good work on that, and obviously news from Bethesda with regards to Starfield and a few other projects, maybe the Elder Scrolls 6 and things like that. So definitely have some interest on that, even though I won't be buying new games, I don't believe, but I like to follow what's happening in the gaming world, so that I can make these not such high quality videos for you guys. But anyway, thank you all for dropping by, and happy gaming, happy summer, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one, which probably won't be too long. Keeping a few videos a week coming out, so I'll try to keep the channel alive that way. Take care.